Welcome to the show, actor Kenny Johnson and filmmaker George Pappy Jr. Good morning, guys. Thanks for joining us. How are you guys doing this morning?
Hey, go ahead, George.
Hey, Kenny.
It's a pleasure, man. I'm so happy we got to do this.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. I've got them both on the line here, separate lines from out in California. Now, guys, talk about the movie real quick. Few options, all bad. George, you said you approached Kenny on Facebook about this movie.
I did. Kenny's got a lot of Facebook friends, very friendly guy, so I was a little nervous, but I couldn't figure out any other way to find them, and he friended me, and once he did, I waited about a week and sent him a message about the script, and it was really nice. He was like, hey, I'd love to read it, and it turned out he liked it.
Kenny, what did you like about the script? I'm sure you get approached for a lot of scripts. What about this script stood out to you?
Well, the first thing that I responded to was George's Facebook picture. He looks like he just got out of prison. He's got tattoos, and he looks trippy. And the name George Pappy Jr., I'm like, that's a crazy name. And I kept looking at the picture thinking, like, I've had a lot of people say, would you read my script? But for some reason, my instinct is like, I got to see what this guy's all about. So, look, I read the script. I thought it was a great character piece. And, and I thought, for the opportunity to go research a guy that's been in prison for like 22 years in some change, getting ready to come out into society, it seemed really thrilling to me. And it was a very, very straightforward written script that I thought was great. And, so that's where I responded to that, really, the writing of it.
How did you go about researching to play a guy that's been in prison for 20 years?
I watch a lot of MSNBC, specials on, lockup, and anything to do with people in prison, because doing The Shield and Saving Grace, I'm always, kind of watching cops. I'm watching, researching criminals and trying to get in the mind of the criminals and always trying to be one step ahead of the way they think, or like 2 or 3 steps, hopefully. But I think it's really kind of important. So for this, I started going down to Central Jail. I have some connections from The Shield that got me into Central Jail. So I had one of the sergeants down there, you would take me in, and I would basically pull out people that had the same, basically the same amount of time for being in prison and really just kind of pick their brains. So I got to talk to a lot of, a lot of people that have been locked up for a long time, and so that was most of my research.
Well, it was largely that. I mean, that story has been in the news a lot the last couple of years. It just really struck me. I mean, I remember the hysteria at the time and these mandatory sentencing laws. And what amazes me, even these kind of conservative-leaning judges that handed these sentences down are up in arms now and saying, look, this was not fair. We should never have handed these sentences out. We got to do something to change this. And I think slowly Congress is starting to kind of mellow out on that. Because like I said the last time, a lot of these guys really got the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
They were the low guys on the totem pole. They were the least culpable of all the people involved in this drug distribution, and they're the ones that end up spending a couple of 2-3 decades in prison because they couldn't cut a deal, like the higher-up guys. It's just not right. So it just seemed like a really interesting thing to go for. I asked myself that question. What would you do if half your life had just been thrown away because of one stupid mistake?
I think it's a great premise, and as someone that was a police officer for a long time, I can tell you that cops get irritated by that, too. We see a lot of guys that shouldn't be in jail for 20 years go in, and then the big fish get out right away. It's frustrating from our point of view, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, Kenny, you've been in series television for a long time. You were on The Shield, Saving Grace. Currently, you've been seen on Sons of Anarchy. What was it like going back to shooting a movie? What's the difference between a movie schedule and shooting a series?
Basically, the movie is the movie. It's a complete story told in 1.5 hour format, and usually usually 18 days. I mean, if you're doing it on a semi-low budget or low budget, they try, the lower the budget, the faster you kind of need to shoot and do everything. So I kind of like really liked, I liked that world. I mean, I spent like a few months with George, you know, working on the script, and he would help me memorize it. And we just met a lot. We met a lot at, you know, places and would talk about the script. And I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page with him. So when we kind of went to shoot, I could kind of live in that character for those, you know, 3.5, 4 weeks that we actually shot it. So I like it. I mean, shooting a series, I've been, you know, blessed that the stuff I've done have been really great writers also. So it's not like, you know, most shows don't have to come to a completion in like an hour. And it kind of has a through line that keeps going on. And this is a through line that you have to, you know, beginning, middle, end, you know, all in that 4 weeks. And I like it. I mean, if it's good writing, to me, there's no difference. You know, movie, TV, it really no difference. It's a lot of hours, and you just kind of jump in your character and live in it. So.
All right, we'll be back with part 2 of our interview with actor Kenny Johnson and filmmaker George Pappy Jr. The name of the movie, Few Options, All Bad. Part 2 of the interview coming up here just a few minutes on KSKU. Good morning. Welcome back into the morning show here on KSKU. Matt Neal with you, and we're really excited continuing our interview this morning with filmmaker George Pappy Jr. and actor Kenny Johnson. Now, Kenny Johnson, of course, you can see him in the FX series Sons of Anarchy. He also played Detective Ham Dewey for 3 seasons on the hit TNT TV show Saving Grace. He was also in The Shield, and he will be on an upcoming appearance of Law & Order SVU. So continuing our conversation with Kenny Johnson and George Pappy Jr., the name of the movie they've got is Few Options, All Bad. Now let's talk about this character that you play, Kenny. Now the character you play, Frank Connor, and George, I want to ask you about this too. He's a kid. He goes into prison for what, 22 years when he's 21 years old, and he gets out and basically finds himself right back involved with the same people that he was dealing with before he went to prison. That got him into prison.
Yeah, through no particular fault of his own, he gets out at a really bad time. It's a surprise release, so he hasn't had time to prepare for it. He's lost his Social Security card and driver's license, so he can't even technically apply for a job, and the ones who does try there, no one will take him, and he has no choice. He's living in a garage. The guy wants him out of there. It's his cousin, played actually really well by Rainn Wilson, and he needs money, and these guys show up again in his life and offer him a job, you know, and he kind of has to take it in the short run because he has no other choice.
Now, you mentioned that Rainn Wilson plays his cousin in this movie, and you've got a terrific cast. Obviously, Kenny, I think, is the biggest draw for that, but you've got some other terrific draws in this cast. You know, I was looking at, you talked about Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight Schrute on The Office. You've also got Michael Sheen in there, David Marciano, and, of course, Laura San Giacomo from Saving Grace fame also. How did you round up such a top cast for this, George?
Yeah, how did that happen?
Yeah, how did that happen? Well, the people you just listed were all either friends of mine or Kenny's. I mean, you know, Rainn and I go way back. I knew Rainn before he was real big, and when I was writing this, he's like, well, I'll give you a day, whatever you can shoot me in a day. People are amazed that we got what we got out of Rainn in a day. It was a long day, and I wrote it in such a way that he's interspersed throughout the movie, so it seems like we had him for a lot more than a day. And I've known Marciano a long time. Kenny knows Marciano, too, from The Shield, and he was more than happy to do a part for us. I thought he did a really nice job. And Michael Sheen, I know Michael as well, and he was gracious enough to, give us 2 hours of his time. And Kenny knows Laura extremely well from Saving Grace. So there you go.
Yeah.
Now, what are you guys doing right now with the movie? Of course, I've noticed there's a Facebook page for it that people can sign up for, and we'll link that up on our homepage and on our Facebook page as well. But George, what's the process of the movie right now? Where is it at in terms of a release or getting it in front of people? And when do you think that this movie will be out down the road?
Well, the process right now is it's all locked. That all happened in the last, say, 6 to 8 weeks. And we've been trying to get it in front of people, but probably our most likely route is we're going to find a sales agent. Mm-hmm. That shouldn't take too much longer. And then that person that company is responsible for getting it sold to distributors around the world and here in the U.S. In various media, DVD. And we're hoping we might get a limited, small, fat theatrical release in major cities. That's not out of the question. So We'll see how that goes, but that's something that you want someone like that to do because they know all the people to talk to. Otherwise, you're trying to call German distributors. You don't know who they are, So I'm thinking later this year. The other thing that's happening in parallel with that is we're waiting to hear back from some of the festivals we entered. Right now, I think we've got our hopes pinned pretty highly on South by Southwest. It's been told to us that we have a pretty good shot there, that we're a good match for that festival down in Texas. I believe that's in March, so we should be hearing next month about that.
Well, we'll link up the Facebook page, George, and any other pages you want us to link up on our homepage for the show. We'd be happy to. I just think this sounds like such a great concept, but you don't see movies like this very often. I mean, this is such a rare perspective for a movie.
Well, thanks for saying so. Well, Kenny and I thought so.
Well, I think obviously you picked a great actor, Kenny Johnson. Kenny, you've recently been seen, of course, on Sons of Anarchy, and you just shot a episode of, was it Law and Order SUV you just shot an episode of?
Yes, yeah.
Now, do you know when?
Yeah, I had a blast. I just got back yesterday from New York with Mariska Hargitay, Mariska.
Now, when will our listeners be able to see that episode? Do you know yet?
30 Cops.
Do you know when people will be able to see that episode yet, or?
I think it's going to be the third week. It was going to be January 5th, but they pushed it. They pushed it to, I think, the third week in January. They have, the week before ours, I think Jeremy Irons is guest starring, and he was shooting at the same time I was, but on another episode. And then we have, myself and this girl, Sade. I don't know her last name, but she was in the House of Sand and Fog. She was up for an Academy Award for that, and she was the other guest star in this really cool story about dirty cops. So it was fun. Yeah.
That is a great show, though. That is a terrific show. Law and Order SUV. I'm looking forward to seeing that episode. That's a fantastic show. And Kenny, you just finished another fantastic show, Sons of Anarchy. Do you know if you'll be back next season, or have you found that out yet?
I'll find out probably February. I know, the creator told me, he says, look, it makes perfect sense that you would be back, that we would have you for the season. And he says, the studio loves you, he goes, and I love you. But he goes, last season, I shortchanged so many guys in their storylines that, his thing is he's trying to be very honest about, that he's got a lot to write for the other characters, and he wants to do that, and at the same time, he'd love to see if he could find something that would be worth my while to come back for the season. And, I would love to, because it's great story writing, and I kind of fit into that group really well, I feel, and it'd be really cool. So we'll find out. We'll see, hopefully.
Well, we hope to see you on there. A terrific show and a terrific end of the season. And, of course, you'll be on Law & Order SUV here in a few weeks, and another terrific show, and we'll look forward to that. George, what about you? What future projects? I know right now you're concentrating on Few Options, All Bad. What other future projects do you have in mind right now, or are you working on?
Well, I got a sock drawer that needs rearranging pretty badly.
You have a great one. He has a great one that he wrote. The concept's awesome, and he's thinking about doing it with your buddy. Tell him about
Donald. That's right. I wrote this a couple of years ago. There's a script about this poor guy gets lost in the Australian outback and gets trapped in the bottom of a well by some crazy teenage girl, and she won't let him out. So that's one I'm working on. I've also got to write another one for next. I'm working on a new storyline. So there's a couple things going in parallel. But that Australian outback one, maybe the next one I try to pursue with any seriousness. So,
well, George, anytime that the film comes out, let me know. We'll be happy to get that out to our listeners when there's a trailer, or of course, we're going to link up the Facebook page. Also, the Internet Movie Database page. We'll link that up as well on our website and our Facebook page for Few Options, All Bad. Sounds like a great movie, guys, and when it comes out, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Hey, we appreciate your guys' time. I know you both are very busy right now.
Thank you. Same to you, man.
Thanks, Matt. Definitely. Good luck over in, overseas, bud.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that, Kenny. Kenny Johnson and George Pappy Jr. Check out their new film, Few Options, All Bad. We'll let you know about release dates, trailers. We're going to link up their Facebook page on the website. We're also going to link up their Internet Movie Database page. Sounds like a terrific movie. We'll keep talking about it here on the show. Two very nice and very classy guys, actor Kenny Johnson and filmmaker George Pappy Jr. We'll be right back on the morning show at KSKU.